For thousands of years, Earth lived in silence. People looked at the stars, dreamed of life out there, and wondered if they were alone. What humans did not know was this: they were never alone. Across the galaxy, powerful alien empires already existed. Their ships crossed star systems in days. Their armies ruled hundreds of worlds, and their technology was centuries ahead of anything humans could imagine. And yet, they did nothing. They only watched. The aliens called themselves the Silent Watchers. To them, Earth was nothing more than a small, primitive planet. Humans fought each other with bullets and bombs. They struggled for food, for land, for power. The aliens found it amusing. They laughed at Earth's wars the way humans laugh at children fighting with sticks. To the galaxy, Earth was weak, harmless, unimportant. But some aliens were not only laughing, they were waiting. They believed that one day, humans might rise. That one day, Earth might surprise everyone. So they kept watching, studying, recording. And then, one small event changed everything. It began with a signal. A faint radio wave, just a simple broadcast of music, escaped Earth's atmosphere. It traveled into space, across the stars. At first, it seemed like nothing. Just noise. But noise can travel far. And one day, the signal reached a listening post owned by the Krell Dominion, one of the most feared alien empires. The Krell listened carefully. They replayed the strange human sounds, music, voices, laughter. To them, it was nonsense. But the fact that such a primitive species was reaching for the stars, that was interesting. The Krell reported their discovery to their High Council. Some leaders laughed. Humans? They are children, not worth our attention. But others were cautious. Children grow, one elder said, and sometimes children become dangerous. Still, no action was taken. Earth was left alone. Years passed. Humans grew stronger. They split the atom, built rockets, launched satellites. Soon, they were walking on the moon. The Silent Watchers saw this and whispered among themselves. Do they dare leave their cradle? One alien commander asked. They will not survive beyond their planet, another replied. But if they do, there may be trouble. Slowly, Earth advanced. Computers, space stations, deep space probes. Step by step, humanity reached higher. Yet in the eyes of the galaxy, they were still weak. And then came the moment no one expected. A human deep space radar system, built to scan asteroids, accidentally detected something strange. A faint metallic echo far beyond Pluto. At first, scientists thought it was a mistake. But it was not. It was real. Something huge was out there, something that did not belong. The object drifted silently at the edge of the solar system. No rocket trail, no heat signature, just waiting. It was alien. The discovery was kept secret. Governments panicked. Scientists whispered in fear. Was it a ship? A weapon? A probe? Nobody knew. But one thing was clear. Humanity was not alone anymore. For the first time, Earth understood the truth. The Watchers were real, and they were close. People reacted in different ways. Some were afraid. Some were excited. Many did not believe. But in the hidden rooms of power, leaders began to ask questions. If they are watching, what do they want? If they are waiting, what are they waiting for? And if they come, how can we survive? The object stayed silent. No signals. No movement. It simply floated there, as if studying Earth. But Earth's own signals, radio, television, satellite data, kept leaking into space. Humans were telling the galaxy about themselves without even knowing it. Their victories, their wars, their hopes, and their fears, broadcast as stars. The Silent Watchers listened. They saw humans building weapons, launching war machines, fighting over borders. To them, it was proof Earth was too busy fighting itself to ever become a true power. But the Watchers were wrong, because behind the noise of conflict, something else was growing inside humanity. A spirit, a stubbornness, a refusal to kneel. Humans had fought for survival on a dangerous planet filled with storms, volcanoes, predators, and disease. They were survivors by nature, and survival can be a dangerous weapon. The galaxy did not see it yet, but Earth was changing. Late one night, In a hidden laboratory, a young scientist stared at the design. It was not a missile, not a bomb. It was something new, something powerful, a weapon no alien had ever imagined. He whispered to himself, "They think we are weak. They think we are children. Let's show them what humanity can do." The Silent Watchers had no idea. They believed Earth was still harmless. But in the shadows, a storm was forming, and soon the first lightning would strike. The silent object at the edge of the solar system was not silent forever. One morning, every radar station on Earth lit up. The object moved, slowly at first, then faster. Its path was clear. It was coming straight toward Earth. For weeks, fear spread across governments and secret agencies. Leaders tried to hide the truth, but whispers escaped. Something alien was on its way. Some people prayed. Others panicked. A few even cheered, believing it would bring peace or wisdom. But the Watchers were not coming with peace. The object entered orbit around Earth. It was not a rock. It was not a probe. It was a ship, huge, black, and silent, larger than any human city. Its surface was covered in strange glowing patterns, alive like fire. The world froze. Every television, every computer, every radio was filled with breaking news. We are not alone. For 3 days, the ship did nothing. It only hovered above the clouds, casting a shadow over oceans and cities. People watched from rooftops, holding their breath. Soldiers waited in bunkers, guns ready, though they knew bullets would mean nothing. Then, on the 4th day, the ship spoke. A voice, cold and powerful, filled the skies. It was translated into every human language at once. People of Earth, we are the Krell Dominion. You are not the first world we have visited, and you will not be the last. We come not for friendship. We come for order. You will serve, or you will be destroyed. The world trembled. The Krell did not hide their contempt. To them, humans were only animals with machines. The alien commander mocked Earth's weapons, calling them toys. You fight with iron and fire. We fight with suns. You cannot win. Fear spread like fire. Some leaders considered surrender. Others whispered about resistance. Ordinary people cried, shouted, prayed. Some stood tall, refusing to kneel. In the White House, in Moscow, in Beijing, in secret rooms across the world, generals and presidents asked the same question. If we fight, can we survive? The answer seemed hopeless. Humanity's missiles and jets looked small compared to the Krell's giant ship. Their armies were nothing against alien fleets. And yet, there was a choice. Surrender or fight. The Krell gave their warning. You have 7 days to decide. Bow, and we will let you live as servants. Resist, and we will erase you. The ultimatum echoed across the planet. On the first day, riots broke out. People demanded safety. Some begged to surrender. Others shouted that surrender meant slavery. Families argued, nations divided. On the second day, the Krell ship sent a demonstration. A single beam of light fired from orbit, striking the ocean. In seconds, the water boiled, and a mushroom of steam rose higher than clouds. The aliens were showing power without even aiming at a city. On the third day, panic became despair. Religious groups claimed the end of the world was near. Militaries prepared hopeless defense lines. But on the 4th day, something happened. In a hidden base, far below a mountain, a group of scientists and engineers gathered. Among them was the young scientist who had once whispered about a new weapon. He stood before generals and commanders and said, "They think we only have missiles. They think we only have bombs. But we have something else. We have been building it for years in secret. It is not finished, but it works." The generals leaned forward. The scientists pulled out blueprints and models. It was a railgun, massive, powerful, and unlike anything Earth had used before. Instead of explosives, it fired solid metal at speeds faster than anything known. Enough to tear through armor. Enough to pierce the sky. The room fell silent. One general asked, "Can it kill that ship?" The scientists hesitated. "We don't know, but it's our only chance." And so, humanity made its decision. They would not bow. They would not surrender. They would fight. The Krell expected weakness. They expected fear. Instead, they would face something new, the fury of a planet that refused to kneel. Across the world, factories worked day and night. Engineers tested railguns, building them in secret bases. Soldiers trained with new strategies. Satellites tracked the alien ship. Humanity prepared for war, not because they thought they would win, but because they refused to die on their knees. On the sixth day, the alien commander appeared again in the sky. His voice dripped with arrogance. "Earth, your time is almost over. Tomorrow, you will kneel before the Krell. Tomorrow, your free world ends." But in hidden bunkers, in secret hangars, humans whispered back, "Tomorrow, you will see what Earth can do." And as the seventh day rose, the railgun was ready. The aliens thought they knew Earth. They thought humans were weak. They thought the fight was already over. They were wrong. The first shot had not yet been fired. But when it came, it would shake the galaxy. The seventh day arrived. The Krell ship still hung above Earth, black and silent like a shadow. The world below waited for doom. Some people locked themselves in basements. Others stood on rooftops to watch the sky, unable to look away. The air itself felt heavy, as if the planet was holding its breath. The alien commander spoke again, his voice thundering across every city. "Time is finished. Kneel before the Dominion or burn." For a moment, there was silence. No surrender came. No voice begged for mercy. The humans had made their choice. Deep under the mountains, in a hidden military base, the railgun was ready. It was not a small weapon. It stretched across the ground like a steel beast, its barrel long enough to reach the heavens. Wires hummed. Magnets crackled. Energy built up, glowing blue. Soldiers stood nearby, watching with nervous eyes. Engineers whispered prayers. The young scientist who had designed it clenched his fists, his face pale but determined. "Is it charged?" a general asked. "Almost," came the reply. "Another 30 seconds." On screens, the alien ship loomed larger. Its glowing surface pulsed with energy. The Krell were preparing their own strike. 20 seconds, the engineer said. The alien commander laughed, his voice dripping with scorn. "You resist? Then you will be the first world I burn with my hand." 10 seconds. The railgun's magnet screamed with power. Sparks danced. The room trembled. 5 seconds. The young scientist whispered to himself, "Please work." 3, 2, 1. Fire. The railgun unleashed its fury. A slug of solid metal, heavier than a car, exploded out of the barrel at incredible speed. It broke the sound barrier a dozen times over. The earth shook. Windows shattered. The night sky lit up with a streak of fire as the slug tore upward. In space, the Krell ship turned to aim its weapon. But it was too late. The slug struck. The alien ship shuddered. A soundless explosion ripped across its hull. Metal cracked. A fireball burst from its side. Pieces of glowing debris rained down through the atmosphere, burning across the skies like falling stars. For the first time in history, an alien ship screamed. The world gasped. In every city, people looked up and saw the impossible. Humans had struck the invincible. The Krell ship, once untouchable, was bleeding fire. In the control room, cheers erupted. Soldiers shouted. Engineers hugged each other. Tears ran down the scientist's face. "It worked," he whispered. "It actually worked." But the celebration did not last long. The alien commander's voice roared, louder than before, filled with rage. You dare strike the Dominion." The ship's glowing patterns flared red. Its weapons charged. Lightning-like beams arced across the sky, hitting the oceans, shaking the earth. Entire coastlines boiled. Ships sank in flames. The Krell were furious. The general barked, "Charge again. Fire again." The railgun needed time. Its magnets overheated. Its wires sparked. Engineers poured water, adjusted systems, shouted over alarms. 2 minutes until next shot. 2 minutes. Could they survive that long? The Krell ship unleashed another blast. A city vanished in a bowl of fire. Screams echoed across radio channels. The cost of defiance was real, and it was heavy. But in those terrible minutes, humanity did not surrender. Instead, something burned brighter than fear. Hope. For the first time, They knew the Krell could be hurt. The scientists turned to the general. One railgun is not enough. We need more. We must show them Earth is not prey. We must show them Earth is teeth. The general nodded grimly. Then we will build more. Again the railgun fired. Again the sky lit up. Another slug tore into the alien ship, smashing through its armor. The Krell vessel reeled, its shields flickering, its glow dimming. The galaxy had watched Earth with laughter. But now, across distant stars, other empires were listening. They heard the Krell commander's angry cries. They saw the great ship take damage from a primitive world, and whispers spread. The humans, they hurt the Dominion. In space, the Krell ship limped but did not fall. Its commander snarled in rage. You will suffer for this insult. Your world will be ashes. We will bring the fleet. We will erase Earth from history. And then, with a flash of light, the massive ship disappeared into the stars. It was gone. For a long time, Earth was silent. People looked at the sky, not knowing what would come next. Some celebrated, cheering in the streets, waving flags, shouting that humanity had won. Others wept, mourning the destroyed city and the thousands of lives lost. Leaders stood before cameras, telling the world, we struck back, we are still alive, and we will be ready. But in hidden rooms, generals and scientists spoke the truth. The Krell will return, not with one ship, with many. The young scientist looked at his blueprints. His voice was quiet, but full of steel. Then we will be ready. We will not kneel. Not to them. Not to anyone. The railgun had fired only 2 shots. But those 2 shots had changed the galaxy. The silent watchers who once laughed at Earth now watched with something new, fear. And the story of humanity's defiance had only just begun. The city was changing. Every newspaper, every channel, every street corner carried the same story. The Shadow Protector. Some people called him a savior. Others whispered that he was a demon. Children drew pictures of a hooded figure with glowing eyes, while elders warned that trusting the unknown could bring disaster. But Ryan knew one truth. Kale was real. And Kale was not like the monsters he had seen. He wanted to protect. Still, questions burned inside him. Why would someone not human care so much for humans? What was this pack Kale had spoken of? One night, Ryan found Kale waiting on the rooftop of his building. The moonlight painted his hood in silver, his figure tall and silent against the dark sky. You came again, Ryan said quietly. Kale's voice was calm. Because you will not stop asking. Ryan stepped closer. Then answer me. What is this pact? Why does your kind hide in shadows? Why do you fight the others while we live blind to it all? Kale did not speak immediately. He stood still, as if deciding whether to break a rule too old to count. Finally, his voice lowered. Centuries ago, when humans were weak, the hunters came. They were creatures born of hunger and chaos. They saw humans as prey. Villages burned. Families vanished. Your ancestors had no weapon strong enough to fight them. Humanity was near its end. Ryan listened, his breath tight. Then Kale continued. My kind appeared. We were not hunters. We were shadows of another kind. Stronger, but bound by a different law. We did not wish to rule or destroy. We chose to protect. But nothing is free, not even safety. So we offered a pact. Ryan asked, what did humans give in return? Kale's eyes glowed faintly. Silence. Forgetfulness. We asked to be unseen. We told your ancestors, live your lives, but never speak of us. Pretend we do not exist. In return, we would guard your world from the hunters. That was the alliance, unseen, unspoken. Ryan frowned. So all these years, humans lived in peace because of you. Kale shook his head. Not peace, only ignorance. My kind fought battles you never saw, bled in places you never walked, died in silence so your people could believe they were safe. You built cities on the surface while our war stayed below, in the shadows. That was the deal. Humans forgot us, and we accepted that. For centuries, it worked. Ryan felt a weight in his chest. He tried to imagine his ancestors making such a choice, choosing blindness in exchange for survival. He wanted to speak, but Kale's tone grew darker. But now, Kale said, "Things are breaking. Too many hunters rise. Too many humans notice. And his voice stopped for a moment. I have broken the rule. I revealed myself. I spoke to you. I saved lives in sight of others. The pack grows weaker because of me." Ryan shook his head. "No, you saved children, families. That can't be wrong." Kale's glowing eyes turned toward him. "To you, it is kindness. To my kind, it is betrayal. They believe I care too much for humans. They fear I have changed." Silence hung between them. Ryan felt his heart race. For the first time, he saw Kale not as an unshakable protector, but as someone carrying unbearable weight. "Why?" Ryan asked softly. "Why risk everything for us?" Kale turned away, his hood hiding his face. His answer was almost a whisper. "Because you remind me of what we once were." Ryan blinked. "What do you mean?" But before Kale could explain, the air shifted. A sudden chill crawled through the rooftop. Shadows thickened unnaturally. From the corner of the roof, a voice hissed, "He speaks too much." Ryan spun. Dark shapes crawled up the wall, 3 creatures with glowing yellow eyes and twisted bodies. Their movements were sharp, insect-like, their growls hungry. Kale stepped forward, his hand already glowing with blue light. "Hunters," he said grimly. The creatures laughed, their voices sharp and cruel. "Protector who loves humans," one hissed. "Protector who breaks a pact. You are not one of us anymore. You are weak." Kale raised his hand. "Leave now, or you will regret staying." The hunters lunged. The fight was fast, brutal. Kale moved like a storm, striking with power, pushing Ryan behind him. Blue light clashed with yellow fire, shadows tearing across the rooftop. Each hit shook the air, each growl echoed like thunder. Ryan watched in terror, but also in awe. Kale was strong, stronger than he had imagined, but the hunters were many, and more would come. At last, Kale threw them back with a wave of energy. The hunters hissed and crawled down the walls, vanishing into the night. But before leaving, one called out, "Your own kind will judge you soon. And when they do, no human will save you." The rooftop fell silent again. Kale stood tall, but his shoulders were heavy. His hand trembled slightly, though he hid it quickly beneath his cloak. Ryan stepped closer. "You saved me again, but they will return, won't they?" Kale's glowing eyes met his. "Yes, and next time it will not only be the hunters, it will be my own people." The weight of those words struck Ryan's heart. The truth was clear. Kale was no longer safe, not from the creatures of the dark, and not from his own kind. For the first time, Ryan realized that the Shadow Protector was not just fighting monsters. He was fighting his destiny. The rooftop battle left Ryan shaken. He could still hear the hunters' growls in his head, still feel the cold weight of their words. "Your own kind will judge you soon." For days, he walked through the city with restless eyes. Every shadow felt alive, every corner dangerous. But what troubled him most was not the hunters. It was Kale. The Protector carried strength, yes, but also a burden. Ryan had seen it in his trembling hand, in the silence that followed the fight. Kale was not invincible. One evening, unable to sleep, Ryan wandered to the small park near his home. Children played there in daylight, but at night, the swings moved only with the wind. He sat on a bench, head heavy with questions. "You should not be here at this hour," a voice said. He turned sharply. Kale stood beside the trees, half in shadow, his cloak flowing like smoke. Ryan let out a weak laugh. "You always find me." Kale tilted his head. "Or maybe you always walk where danger lives." For a moment, they stood in silence. Then Ryan said, "Why do you do this? You could stay hidden, follow the pact, let humans live blind. Why risk yourself for us?" Kale's glowing eyes dimmed, as if heavy with memory. "Because once, long ago, humans did the same for us." Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" Kale sat on the bench's edge, his tall frame folding into the darkness. "There was a time when my kind faced extinction. A sickness spread among us, and we were weak. We would have vanished. But humans, your ancestors, hid us, fed us, protected us, though it cost them their lives. That was before the pact, before rules. Some humans chose compassion when fear was easier. Ryan's chest tightened. He never expected such a story. So now you protect us, because once we protected you. Cale nodded slowly. It is not only duty, it is memory. At that moment, footsteps approached. A young woman entered the park, carrying a bag of food. She was Ryan's neighbor, Ayla, someone known for her kindness. She saw Ryan and smiled, but when her eyes moved toward Cale, her smile froze. Her voice trembled. Who is that? Ryan hesitated. A friend. Cale rose, his hood low. Ayla stepped back, fear in her eyes. His eyes, they're glowing, she whispered. Ryan quickly spoke. He's not here to hurt anyone. He's the one people call the Shadow Protector. Ayla gasped, covering her mouth. She looked at Cale again, torn between terror and wonder. You're real. Cale did not move, only said softly, You should go home. The night is not safe. But instead of running, Ayla placed a food bag on the bench. If you protect us, then at least let someone care for you. For a moment, Cale was silent. His kind never accepted gift from humans. It was against every rule. Yet he saw the sincerity in her eyes. Slowly, he lowered his head, not in refusal but in quiet respect. Ryan watched the moment with surprise. For the first time, another human had seen Cale and not screamed or cursed. Instead, she had shown gratitude. But this act did not go unseen. From across the park, two figures watched. They were not hunters, but Cale's own kind. Cloaked in deeper shadows, their eyes glowed cold silver. One whispered, He accepts from humans now. The bond grows dangerous. The other replied, He has betrayed us fully. Soon, judgment must fall. Cale felt their presence but said nothing. He let Ayla and Ryan walk home together, his heart heavy. That night, Ayla asked Ryan in whispers, Can we trust him? Ryan answered without hesitation. Yes. Without him, this city would already belong to monsters. Ayla nodded, though fear still lingered in her eyes. Then if he fights for us, we should stand with him. No one should fight alone. Her words echoed in Ryan's heart. Cale had always been protector, carrying the weight of two worlds in silence. But maybe now humans could offer something back, not weapons or strength, but loyalty. Meanwhile, deep below the city, Cale's people gathered. Leaders of the Shadow Protectors stood in a circle, their faces hidden beneath heavy hoods. One voice spoke. Cale has broken the pact. He reveals himself. He accepts human closeness. He is no longer one of us. Another voice hissed. Then he must be removed. If humans and shadows unite, the old order will end. A third said darkly, Then let it end with his blood. Cale did not hear their words, but in his heart he knew the truth. His path was no longer hidden. His bond with humans had grown stronger, and that meant only one thing. The war he had feared was closer than ever. The city no longer slept in peace. Fear moved through its streets like a silent storm. Every night, whispers spread. Children saw glowing eyes in alleyways, dogs barked at empty corners, and people swore something followed them home. The hunters were no longer hiding. Ryan felt it first. Walking back from work, he noticed shadows that did not move with the light, shapes too sharp to be tricks of the eye. He hurried through the streets, but the sense of being watched never left him. That night, he met Ayla on the rooftop. She looked pale, her voice trembling. My brother saw something near the school. A creature. He swore it crawled along the walls like a spider. Before Ryan could reply, a sudden scream cut through the night. Both of them froze. It came from the next street. Without thinking, they ran. At the corner, horror met their eyes. A group of hunters had stepped out of the darkness. Their bodies twisted and sharp, eyes glowing yellow with hunger. People screamed and scattered, but the hunters were fast. One leapt toward a woman holding her child. Before it struck, a burst of blue light crashed through the air. Cale appeared, his cloak whipped around him, his glowing hand striking the creature back. Run! He shouted at the humans. Run now! Chaos followed. The hunters hissed and lunged, their voices echoing like broken glass. Cale fought with speed and fury, his strikes glowing like fire against their shadows. But there were too many. For every hunter he pushed back, two more crawled from the dark. Ryan grabbed Ayla's hand, pulling her behind a car for cover. His heart raced as he watched Cale battle alone. He remembered her words, no one should fight alone. Ayla whispered, "We can't just hide. There must be something we can do." Ryan's eyes fell on a broken metal rod lying nearby. His hand shook, but he picked it up. "Maybe we can't fight like him," he said, "but we can't leave him to die." The hunters drew closer, surrounding Cale. He struck again and again, but his movement slowed. The wounds on his arms glowed faintly, bleeding light instead of blood. One hunter hissed, "Protector alone. Protector weak. Protector falls tonight." But before it could leap, Ryan swung the rod with all his strength. The metal crashed against the creature's side, forcing it back. The hunter snarled, eyes burning with rage. Ryan stood trembling, but he didn't back away. "You'll have to get through me first." Cale's glowing eyes widened for a moment. Shock and perhaps pride. More humans joined. Neighbors ran from their homes, some carrying sticks, some with stones, others with nothing but courage. Ayla stood at Ryan's side, holding a wooden plank. One man shouted, "If he protects us, then we fight with him." The hunters hissed in fury, their claws scraping the ground. They had expected fear, but instead they faced defiance. Cale felt energy surge through him. He stood tall, his voice echoing like thunder. "Then let us fight together." The battle turned. Humans threw stones, struck with sticks, created noise and distraction. Cale struck with precision, using their help to push the hunters back. For the first time in centuries, humans and a shadow protector fought side by side. The hunters, overwhelmed, retreated into the night. Their growls echoed as they vanished, promising they would return. The street fell silent. Smoke rose from broken lamps, the air heavy with fear and courage. People stared at Cale, their savior standing among them. Ayla stepped forward first. She placed her plank down and looked at him with steady eyes. "You don't have to be unseen anymore. Not to us." Others nodded. One man whispered, "You are not a curse. You are a protector." For a moment, Cale said nothing. His kind had lived in shadows for centuries, hidden by the pact. But tonight, humans had stood with him. They had seen his true self and chosen not to run, but to fight. Finally, Cale spoke, his voice low but strong. "Then perhaps the pact is no longer silence. Perhaps it is alliance." Ryan stepped forward, his face firm. "Unseen alliances," he said. "That's what this is. We may not have your strength, but we have something else. We have each other." Cale's eyes glowed brighter, not with danger but with something rare, hope. But in the distance, far above on the rooftops, other silver-eyed figures watched. His own kind. Their voices whispered into the night. "He stands with humans now. He betrays a pact." Another replied coldly, "Then he is no longer one of us. Next time, we will not send hunters. We will come ourselves." The night ended with victory, but it was not the end. It was only the beginning of a greater war. The night after the battle, the city was restless. Streets were quiet, but fear clung to the air like smoke. People locked their doors earlier than usual. They whispered about the creatures, about the protector, and about the humans who fought beside him. For the first time, the truth was no longer a secret. Shadows lived among them, both good and evil, and the protector was real. Ryan could not sleep. He stood on his balcony, staring at the dark horizon. His hands still ached from gripping the metal rod, but his heart burned with determination. He had fought, not just for himself, but beside Cale. He had seen what courage looked like when humans stood together. But Cale's words echoed in his mind. Next time, it will not only be the hunters, it will be my own people. That next time came sooner than anyone expected. A cold wind swept across the city. Lights flickered. Dogs howled into the night. From the rooftops, shadows gathered, tall, hooded figures with silver eyes. Cale's own kind had arrived. Ryan, Ayla, and others rushed to the street when they heard the cries. There they saw Cale, standing alone in the middle of the road, facing his own people. His cloak moved in the wind, his glowing eyes steady. One of the silver-eyed figures stepped forward. His voice was sharp, commanding. Kale of the Shadows, you have broken the pact. You revealed yourself. You allied with humans. You stand against us. Kale's voice was calm but strong. I stand with them because they are no longer blind. They are brave. They fight not with power, but with heart. That is strength you have forgotten. The leader's eyes narrowed. Then you leave us no choice. Tonight, you fall. With a single motion, the shadows attacked. The battle was unlike any before. The hunters had been wild and cruel, but these were Kale's own kind, trained, powerful, precise. Blue and silver light clashed across the city, each strike shaking the ground. Kale fought fiercely, but he was outnumbered. Ryan and Ayla, along with dozens of others, rushed forward with whatever they could carry. Sticks, stones, courage. We fight with him. Ryan shouted. The humans attacked, distracting the enemies, forcing them to split their focus. Some fell, wounded, but none backed away. For every strike Kale made, humans gave him space to breathe, time to rise again. The battle spread through the streets. Windows shattered, lights broke, and the sky lit with flashes of shadow and flame. The city itself became the battlefield of an ancient war. At last, the leader of Kale's people faced him directly. His power was overwhelming, each strike forcing Kale back. You were one of us, he growled. But now you are nothing. Kale's strength faltered. His body shook, his cloak torn, his light dimming. The leader raised his hand for the final strike. But before it fell, Ryan stood in front of him. His chest rose with fear, yet his voice was steady. If you want him, you go through me, through all of us. Behind him, dozens of humans stood shoulder to shoulder. Ayla, neighbors, strangers, all united. Their eyes were filled not with power, but with courage. For the first time, the silver-eyed leader hesitated. Kale's voice, weak but unbroken, filled the air. Do you see now? This is why I chose them. This is why I broke your pact. Humans are not weak. They are stronger than shadows because they stand together. The leader roared in fury and struck. But Kale, with the last of his strength, leapt forward. His glowing hand collided with the leader's chest, a blast of light bursting through the street. The explosion of energy threw everyone back, shaking buildings and tearing through the night. When the light faded, silence followed. The leader of the shadows was gone. The others vanished with him, retreating into the darkness. The war had ended. For now, humans slowly rose, coughing, helping one another. Ryan looked around desperately. Then he saw Kale. The protector lay in the middle of the street, his cloak torn, his body fading like smoke. His glowing eyes dimmed as he looked at Ryan and Ayla. You fought beside me, he whispered. The alliance is no longer unseen. It is alive. Ryan knelt beside him, tears in his eyes. Don't leave. We need you. Kale's hand trembled as he placed it on Ryan's shoulder. You don't need me. You have each other. Protect one another, as you did tonight. That is a true alliance. With those final words, Kale's form dissolved into the night, fading back into the shadow from which he came. The city was silent. People stood together, their hearts heavy but proud. They had lost their protector, but they had gained something greater, courage, unity, and the knowledge that they were never truly alone. Ryan lifted his face to the dark sky. He whispered softly, You will never be unseen again. And though Kale was gone, the humans knew the shadows still watched, not as enemies, but as allies. The unseen alliance had become real.